So, earlier this year, I had to change my plans as a result of things beyond my control. That time, it was because someone named Love accused me of being Draco's star scale. As such, I had to make a video calling out Draco for all the stuff he did for the month of February, which made things get really chaotic when Demon Lord Lucian, who fortunately has now left the VTubing sphere entirely, decided to try and lash out at some of his victims after my first video on Lucian. Love's account on Twitter was later suspended for unrelated reasons, fortunately. Why am I bringing this up? Well, it happened again. Not me being accused of being Draco's star scale, thankfully, but rather I had to change my plans because of someone else's actions once again. That someone else being the subject of this video, Sunwitch, also known as Fairly Witch, Junio TV, Yuki Streams, and most recently, Sly Brewer or Sly Fox. We know the last two thanks to Sunwitch's Steam account. I've heard people refer to Sunwitch as Layla, but I'm just going to refer to them as Sunwitch. Although amusingly enough, Sunwitch recently reverted back to their Sunwitch identity and tried to get their entry on the VT Blacklist account taken down. It was not successful. The VT Blacklist account posted their DMs, which I'm going to show right now. I will address the crimes that Sunwitch committed later in this video. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. Said elephant being that it's impossible to talk about Sunwitch without talking about Akuma Miko, because of how closely the two are connected. Now, you might be wondering why this is an elephant in the room if you've never seen any of my videos before. Well, the thing is, I have an entire video that's almost an hour long that goes over some really bad stuff that Akuma did or has been accused of doing. Now, I did try and make it so that you can watch this video without watching that one, but if you do want to know more, go watch the one I made. Or you can just wait until December, since I'm going to revisit Akuma Miko and cover some other stuff that I missed in a new video then. But I will try and make this video viewable with as little context in regards to Akuma Miko as possible. But I will briefly go into detail about any of Akuma's misdeeds if I absolutely have to. And one more thing that I'm going to address. Namely, I'm not going to cover anything related to Sunwitch that involves someone by the name of Res Nova, unless I absolutely have to. Mainly because, well, Res Nova is an entire can of worms themselves that I would rather not open in this video, and unfortunately there aren't any videos on YouTube that really expose Nova's misdeeds. The only thing I can really suggest if you want to find out more is the Res Nova Exposed Twitter account. And do note that I will not be able to cover everything for a combination of reasons. Some of the evidence has been deleted, some people didn't want to answer any questions because they didn't want to revisit this chapter, and at least a few people explicitly asked me not to include them, so I opted to respect their wishes. Not gonna name names since I'd rather not have it come across as me retaliating. And also, there's just so much evidence that if I included it all, I'd push this video back quite a bit, and I'd rather not do that. But before we get started, a disclaimer. Warning! The following video contains discussions of the following topics: suicide and pedophilia. Viewer discretion is advised. Okay, so, as usual, do not harass anyone I bring up. So let's get started with the main reason why I decided to make this video. Namely, Sunwitch is a doxer.
Well, ring around the rosy, a pocket full of spears. That should be pretty foxy, didn't you? Well,
Sunwitch has actually doxed a few people, most recently Akuma Miko. Now, Akuma herself has actually doxed at least a few people, one of which she is actually on the record as having confessed to doxing, so this is somewhat ironic, although I will say that two wrongs do not make a right. But anyways, on August 5th of this year, an account named Sunwitch Defense Force posted Akuma Miko's dox, as well as a bunch of other evidence. Everyone I have spoken to about this that is familiar with Sunwitch agrees that it's Sunwitch behind the account. I'd also like to point out that in the post where Sunwitch made said docs, she committed revenge porn, which I didn't realize until I was looking at the desktop screenshot of the second tweet. Now, here's the thing. Akuma's real name has been made public by people who had bad experiences with her in real life, so using that alone, I would say, is a bit of a gray area, but this included other personal information. And before you ask, I only know about this because I was actually tagged in a comment that this account made. That's actually why I decided to make this video. If Sunwitch hadn't tagged me, I probably would have brought this up when I got around to covering the stuff about Sunwitch, but I would have covered someone else's misdeeds this month, or I might have even made a video that wasn't about someone else's misdeeds at all. The account then got suspended, rightfully so, and came back. They then made another tweet containing the same info, and also stated they were the same person, where they once again tagged me. If you are somehow new to this channel, Sunwitch tagged me because of that video I made calling out Akuma. Even though, in said video's second half, I explicitly state Sunwitch is a bad person. I would actually include the video by Just a Redhead in here, but well, that channel seems to have been deleted, so I can't include it. And before you ask, the Akuma Miko account you see tagged in that tweet is actually an account dedicated to exposing Akuma. It's not Akuma Miko's actual account. It seems that Sunwitch just chose these names because they have publicly spoken out against Akuma Miko, not actually caring how the people in question they are tagging would feel about this sort of thing. For the record, I absolutely condemn something like this, so do not tag me in any future posts like this for any VTubers I've covered. Sunwitch's hatred of Akuma Miko is so intense that they have actually tried to get people doxxed because they have peers who follow Akuma Miko. Not even they themselves follow Akuma Miko, which would still be bad, but it would at least follow some kind of logic. No, merely having peers who follow Akuma Miko is enough to get you on Sunwitch's bad side. But Akuma is not the only person Sunwitch has doxed. Sunwitch has also doxed one Shu Ivy. You might remember her from my videos on Demon Lord Lucian. And if you watched my Akuma Miko video, you might remember that I pointed you towards her thread for further information on why Sunwitch is a bad person. I'm not going to go into detail about her past outside of stuff that involves Sunwitch, so don't bring it up in the comments. Anyways, Shu actually gave me video proof of Sunwitch doxing her, which I'm going to play right now. But aside from threatening to dox Shu, Sunwitch has used multiple alt accounts to get around Shu's blocks, such as this one. Sunwitch has also threatened Shu, both by pretending to be a government employee and a member of the Mafia. Yes, I'm not sure how that works. Like, is Sunwitch pretending to be both at the same time, or... But anyways, Sunwitch has also threatened to dox Shu and physically harm her. Funny story about this. While I did thank Akuma Miko in my video on Lucian for unintentionally getting me in contact with Shu IV, it was actually because of the fact that I chose to direct people to Shu's thread on Sunwitch, which I just grabbed because it was literally the first result with evidence that I found on Twitter that she and I started talking. So, if Lucian, Bunny, or Nina are watching this video, you can thank Sunwitch for making my videos on Lucian possible. There's also this video where Sunwitch confesses to doxing people and quite a bit of other stuff.
Hey guys, this is Fairly Witch here, and this is going to be a recorded audio onto the allegations that are against me on Twitter. Yes, I made numerous mistakes, and so many people in the VTuber community concerned due to threats, doxing, and other means on saying that I don't want to say. However, whenever I won't say I'm a victim or try to sugarcoat shit. I'm saying here, I done those things back then and still continuing on. I'm done with causing hate and negative things to the community. I'm tired of it. I just want to grow the fuck up. So I want to say this in advance by recording this. I even said that I'm done causing harassment. I'm done threatening people that I'm going to dox them or kill them or other means like that. I'm tired of it. I really am. And I lost so many people that I was mutuals with just because of my hostile behavior. And not only that, but manipulation is one thing that I hate the most. Even impulsiveness and other stupid shit that caused to the community. It's just, I'm tired of doing the same mistakes over and over and over again. I understand now, but I just don't want to cause these same ass mistakes again. From now on, with this recorded audio, I want to say I will prove to the community on Twitter, not only Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, Discord, among other means, that I will grow the fuck up. I will change, and other means like that. Like, hell, I'm gonna say this. I even commissioned NSFW whenever I wasn't 18. Yes, artists and I should be accountable for the things that I should have done until I was 18. It's just, I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm not going to make an excuse just because of my disability. I'm not going to make an excuse for things that I've done wrong. I need to grow the fuck up. I need to. And after I finish with this recording, I hope to understand, and I will be an oath with the promise to the VTuber community and same to the YouTuber community that I will move the fuck on, grow the fuck up, and other means to my behavior and other means. Thank you so much if y'all are hearing this. And this is about it that I can say. And if anyone needs me to link the documentaries against me, hell, I can do it. I will do it. It's just documentaries onto me tracing art, lying, docs, trying docs or threatening docs, and other shit that caused back then. Even accuse people that aren't true. So I just hope this recording can be as sufficient as I can describe onto my whatever I want to say. Thank y'all for letting me say what I need to say. Because from now on, I'm not doing all this stupid ass shit again. I'm tired of it. Thank you for those who listen to this. And this is love from Fairly Witch VT and Fairly Lustful VT as well. Y'all have a blessed day. I hope everything goes well and everyone's recovery goes well. Thank y'all, and y'all take care.
And if you want another instance of Sunwitch confessing to doxing, here's one. Here's the thing. What Sunwitch fails to understand is that there is a point of no return that they have crossed. No amount of apologizing is going to make up for what they did. And I'm not just referring to the doxing. I'm referring to all the other stuff that they've done that I'm going to go over in this video. But we'll get to that when it's the right time. And also, I am going to bring up Shoe Ivy at least one more time in this video. But anyways, let's move on to the next segment.
The last to go will see the first 3 go before her. And her mangy little dog, too.
Now we start to get into the really foul stuff. See, Sunwitch is infamous for harassing people. It's to the point where several people who have spoken out against Sunwitch didn't want to answer questions I had about Sunwitch, and even asked me not to include their experiences in the video, and I don't blame them. Also, just because of how much stuff there is, I will miss some, so I do apologize to those people in advance. Also, according to one tweet I found, Sunwitch will join Discord servers people are a part of just to harass them. They also apparently have a porn addiction, which does become relevant later on. In fact, Sunwitch will apparently go as far as threatening to commission revenge porn art of people and their friends. I say apparently because I did actually ask Sandstone about this, and unfortunately she does not have those messages anymore. I did mention Shu's call-out thread of Sunwitch previously, but I'm bringing it up here because, well, in the replies to that, I found another VTuber named Venera Vesali who shared her thread of Sunwitch harassing her via Twitch chat. But this is a particularly nasty case because Sunwitch was doing the same thing that Draco Starscale was doing, namely claiming they were going to commit suicide as a way to generate sympathy. And as another VTuber named Natalie Miko proved with a call they posted, Sunwitch was still up to this 1 year later. All I have to say in response to these two things is, Sunwitch, go fuck yourself. So I mentioned how Akuma Miko was doxxed by Sunwitch earlier in the video. Well, Akuma actually was on the receiving end of harassment by Sunwitch in addition to the doxing, and put out a public document that contains her experience. I will do my best to give as unbiased a presentation as possible of the event Akuma describes, and if you think I'm being unfair, I'll actually link the document unedited in the description so you can read it for yourself. I'd also like to note that I have not found anything to suggest that Akuma is lying in this case. Also, all the stuff that happens in this document was before I had even begun to look into her, so it's not going to really impact any future videos I make, since I highly doubt I'll bring up Sunwitch again. But anyways, Akuma became mutuals with Sunwitch in December 2022, claiming that she wanted to discourage Sunwitch, who at the time was a minor, from sneaking into adult spaces, acting as a mentor of sorts. Akuma unfortunately found herself harassed by Sunwitch, who refused to respect Akuma's boundaries. Someone accused Reznova, who, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to go into details about in this video, of dating Sunwitch, since Sunwitch's real name, at least at the time, is Layla, which was the same as a screen name of Reznova's partner, who went by the name Exorcist Ninja. Akuma cleared this up, but 3 months later, a friend of Akuma's named Luna was calling Nova a predator. Akuma thought that this was cleared up. However, as you may have noticed earlier in the video if you were paying attention, it turns out that Reznova and Sunwitch were dating. And at this time, Nova was still in a relationship with the other Layla. Akuma got angry at Sunwitch for lying to her and burned the bridge. Sunwitch, not able to handle this rejection, decided to start harassing Akuma. Sunwitch later got in contact with someone who apparently swatted Akuma and her family, and also got in contact with someone who was trying to get a restraining order against Akuma. I'm assuming that the swatter is Ostwitz, who I've heard swatted Akuma, but Sunwitch was also getting sexual with the person who swatted Akuma, even though Akuma's swatter made it clear that they were underage, which again would match with it being Ostwitz. Akuma later got Sunwitch to admit to everything, and Sunwitch tried to cozy up to Akuma again, but understandably, Akuma wanted nothing to do with Sunwitch. Sunwitch even tried bribery to get on Akuma's good side, but Akuma rejected Sunwitch once again. Sunwitch and Akuma later got into an argument in one of Sunwitch's posts, which bizarrely had Sunwitch quoting the Bible. Akuma ends the document with a final warning to Sunwitch to change her ways. I know you're probably wondering, and I am going to cover other aspects of that later. Next, from the VT Awareness account, which I have mentioned before but have not cited them as much as the VT Blacklist account, we have a member of the group V-Star, which is now disbanded, who, while I'm gonna go into that group in the next segment, I'll bring this particular experience, as well as another one up here, since in this case, I don't know the age of the person in question, and in the case of the other member I'm gonna bring up in this segment, it would not fit in with the next segment. Anyways, Sunwitch made Not Safe for Work out of their model with the V-Star Talents model without asking. Then we have an example that I don't know who is receiving the messages, but it involves Sunwitch sexually harassing a said person and pestering them for fetish art. I'm not going to read this, so feel free to pause and read this on your own time. And Sunwitch would later use the V-Star Twitter account to harass people. Not only did Sunwitch use said account to harass people, but they also used it to defame and slander people like an ex of theirs named Captain Lexo. Since I'm here, I might as well go over the stuff with Lexo. Lexo had dated Sunwitch when he was 15 or 16 and Sunwitch was 14, but Lexo broke off the relationship because of how toxic things were. Before you ask, that age gap is not pedophilia, so this isn't a case of a Cody Co getting harassed, but anyways, Sunwitch couldn't accept this and has harassed Lexo ever since. Sunwitch has also slandered him by falsely accusing him of being a pedophile, which, as you'll see by the end of this video, is a huge case of projection, which actually got Lexo kicked out of a VTuber group. I don't know if it's V-Star or another group, as I have not found anything to suggest that is the case. Given that the only evidence of Lexo being a pedophile that Sunwitch, who at the time was going by Yuki Streams, offers is their own word, Lexo's twitlonger, which he states that he only dated people around his age, is more than enough proof for me to dismiss the claims Sunwitch made against Lexo. But Sunwitch was so obsessed with Lexo that they would constantly try and interfere with Lexo's relationships. Sunwitch even tried to steal Lexo's girlfriend from him and would also sabotage Lexo's relationship with his friends, as you'll see in these screenshots. Just gonna let these play for a few seconds. But that's not all. Sunwitch has also openly admitted to doxing Lexo and sending him death threats. She just views this as a game. Yet, in a case showing that Sunwitch has no sense of self-awareness, Sunwitch later tried to come crawling back to Lexo, who unsurprisingly did not accept Sunwitch's apology. I have no idea why it says Sunwitch joined in January 1970 before you ask. Alright. Before we move on, we have a document from a VTuber named Kitty Gemma. She met Sunwitch in 2023 on a site called VTuber, which is basically a VTubing Twitter, where Kitty was asking for collabs. At the time, Kitty's content was appropriate for anyone who was 13 or older. Sunwitch asked if she could collab, and after some questions were asked on telling him, Kitty and Sunwitch added each other on Discord. However, one red flag that popped up was that Sunwitch hadn't streamed on her channel at all. And in fact, Sunwitch didn't have any streaming equipment. Sunwitch said they wanted to get to know Kitty better before the collab, but the idea never came up afterwards. Sunwitch kept on alternating between graduating and bringing in pre-debut, which annoyed Kitty. On June 16th, Stanstone posted a document about Sunwitch, which I unfortunately do not have, and Stanstone did not have saved. I've spoken to Stanstone before, and considering that we've had friendly interactions, I highly doubt she would have a problem with me sharing it, so the only reason I am not sharing it is because I do not have it, and said document was about Sunwitch's behavior. The document got passed along to the mods of Kitty Gemma's Discord server, and Sunwitch was banned after the mods looked at the document. However, Sunwitch had also broken the rule of not claiming a role for 7 days after introducing themselves, so Kitty told Sunwitch that was the reason they were banned. Sunwitch still wanted to get in the Discord server, but Kitty told Sunwitch that since her mods were asleep, it would take time. 2 days later, Sunwitch announced they were graduating, and 7 days after that, Kitty opted to cut ties with Sunwitch. Sunwitch made an already bad day that Kitty was going through worse, as Sunwitch was spamming Kitty with messages. Sunwitch also once again flip-flopped and decided against graduating. They even tried to chat in Kitty Gemma's Twitch chat while Kitty was offline. Kitty now made content aimed at an older audience. Even after Kitty cut ties with Sunwitch, Kitty still has to deal with harassment from Sunwitch, as Kitty got a message from another account belonging to Sunwitch. Kitty ends the document by telling Sunwitch to leave her friends, and her mod team alone. But this is not the worst stuff that Sunwitch has done. Let's talk about how Sunwitch is a pedophile.
How about a little fire, Scarecrow?
Yeah, I'm unfortunately talking about a VTuber who likes kids in that way once again. Although this one is special because if I wanted to, I actually wouldn't need to show proof of their actions. Because Sunwitch has actually admitted to being a pedophile twice. The first time was in a Facebook post. You might have noticed something else in said post that I'll get to in a second. But believe it or not, Sunwitch actually confessed twice, and the second time is on Discord. As I mentioned at the start of the video, Sly Fox was in fact Sunwitch's latest identity, so if I wanted to, I could just say I don't need to say anything else and wrap this segment up, but I'm not going to because that would kind of be a bit lazy. But if you want a particularly blatant example, this one comes from the aforementioned VTuber Awareness Twitter account. Specifically, after they posted a thread on Sunwitch, a minor who stated they had turned 17 less than a month ago reached out to them and sent them a request for what I'm assuming is some subliminal audio that was centered around fetish content that Sunwitch made of them. I'm not going to read the content in question. And when asked to clarify something, Sunwitch proceeded to send said minor photos of topless anime witches without warning. Why do I get the feeling that Cyberweasel89 would be friends with Sunwitch? But this isn't the only case. There are quite a few others. Sunwitch was also part of this group called V-Star, as I mentioned previously, and the owner of the group was a minor who went by Arctic Austin. However, it later came out that Austin knew that Sunwitch was making not safe for work content and told Sunwitch to rebrand. In fact, Austin knew Sunwitch when they were making not safe for work content. So, you know, Sunwitch was grooming Austin. Sunwitch later tried to deflect blame, claiming that Austin had a minor selling CP. I haven't found any evidence to support that claim, and Austin appears to have wiped everything from the internet. Unfortunately for Sunwitch, their actions were documented, and given that Sunwitch was grooming Austin, even if the stuff that Sunwitch claimed about Austin was true, it does not excuse Sunwitch's actions. Even though Sunwitch was called out, Sunwitch refuses to take any accountability. The VT Awareness Twitter account received DMs from Sunwitch, which I'm showing right now. We also have testimony from a VTuber named Kina. Now, Kina has gotten involved in some controversies of their own, but as far as I can tell, none of them involve Sunwitch, so they do not invalidate any of the allegations Kina made against Sunwitch. Anyways, Kina literally told Sunwitch they were a minor when they first met. Now, I do see a few people in replies Kina's thread say that the way Kina wrote this is a bit irresponsible, but I'd like to point out that 1, Sunwitch never asked for clarification, and 2, Sunwitch did write 18 plus to mean older than 18, so it's not entirely unreasonable to assume that 18 minus would mean younger than 18. However, even knowing this, Sunwitch kept on talking about not safe for work topics with Kina, as well as their fetishes and stuff they wanted to do to Kina. Even when Kina was in a sad mood, Sunwitch kept on trying to bring the topic back to not safe for work conversations. Sunwitch also tried to drag Kina into poly relationships with other adults, but also claimed they were protecting Kina at the same time. Eventually, Kina got fed up and told Sunwitch that they didn't want to be involved. Kina banned Sunwitch from their community. Bizarrely, Sunwitch tried to claim this was an act of defamation. I'm assuming Kina is Japanese, since the Steam screenshot I showed earlier proves Sunwitch is an American. And also, from what I have gathered from people who do know Sunwitch, they live in the United States. Sunwitch also forgets that a lawsuit that would travel across the ocean is going to not just be expensive, but also a huge headache since you have more than one set of laws involved. And yet, even after Kina made it clear that they wanted nothing to do with Sunwitch, Sunwitch kept on harassing Kina. And even when confronted with blatant screenshots, Sunwitch is more than willing to downplay their misdeeds of pedophilia. You might be looking at the video's runtime and wondering what else I could have left to talk about, because obviously we're not done. And I know what you are wondering. Given that the structures of my video usually has me put the most damning stuff at the end, what could be more damning than someone being a pedophile? Well, how about making someone actually end their own life?
You cursed brat! Look what you've done! I'm melting! Melting!
Well, this is a first for me. I have covered people who cause other people to attempt to take their own life, but I have never covered this sort of thing. As such, I decided to put it in here as opposed to just lumping it in with harassment. And as I mentioned, I'm putting it last because of how serious it is. The first instance comes from Sunwitch themselves. Sunwitch explicitly states that the reason their girlfriend ended their life was because of Sunwitch's threatening/hostile side. Now, I will admit that this is the only evidence I've found of this, as I do not know who the victim was, but I cannot think of a reason why you would lie about something like that. If Sunwitch was only saying that their girlfriend was dead, but not saying how she died, then maybe I could see it being a lie for sympathy, since the banned YouTuber I'm J Station did something similar about 6 to 7 years ago, but I cannot think of any benefit to claiming that you caused your girlfriend to take her life. And an even more damning case, another confession from Sunwitch involves a minor who committed suicide because Sunwitch threatened to release nudes of said minor. In other words, Sunwitch threatened to commit both revenge porn and distribution of CSAM. And when someone named Konosuke confronted them about this, Sunwitch straight up said they didn't care. Sunwitch has constantly claimed they have changed, but those claims always will fall on deaf ears. There are some things that can be forgiven if a person has changed and goes out of their way to make amends. Being a pedophile and driving someone to end their life are not two of the things that can be forgiven. And if anything, those two things are things that will universally get you exiled from all but the most fringe of online communities. I do not have anything else to say, so I'm gonna start to wrap the video up here.
Oh, what a world, what a world! Who would have thought a good little girl like you could destroy my beautiful wickedness? Ah, look out! Look out! I'm going!
I might as well end the video by addressing Sunwitch and some other people who have attempted to go after Akuma Miko. Recently, some people have escalated attacks against Akuma Miko by doing stuff like pretending to be her on VGen and making really foul requests. To those people, all I have to say is, you do know you're making it easier for Akuma to just not address the stuff she's actually guilty of, right? She can just point to you guys and say, see, they're all like this, which is in fact what Akuma has actually done on at least one case. This is also something that other people have done to try and dismiss criticism, such as M. Binted, who I am 99% sure is actually an alt of Usagi Calamari's. Your actions are literally allowing Akuma Miko to use the same defenses that Plagued Moth can use thanks to people like Angry Slug. If you guys really care about Akuma facing justice, cut this shit out. You are only making it harder for her other victims. If you want her to get called out, don't give her a way to dismiss said callouts. Now, as for Sunwitch specifically, there is no redemption for you. The VTuber sphere will never accept you. Stop trying to be a part of it, leave, and go turn yourself into the authorities. In fact, you know what? If this had been how I first found out about Akuma Miko, I probably would be on her side right now. That video I made that caused you to tag me on that post where you doxed Akuma, it would not exist. So never even think of the VTuber sphere again, not even as a viewer. But anyways, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching. My next video is not going to be until December because it's going to be a big project. But until then, I'm Andreas Rebel and I'll see you on my next assignment. Later.